It's time for the Free Roam podcast. How are you, Mr. Joe Raptor?
Yeah. Woo.
Love it.
Yes, I'm doing well. It's I don't know. It's for me a kind of a slow week or a I have to recover week because for people, you probably don't know, but in Amsterdam every year there's this festival sort of event. It's called Amsterdam Dance Event. My voice still needs to recover as well. Then a lot of DJs from all over the world come to the city, and then they have quite some events. And I went to a couple of them, so I'm still kind of it's working out, but I'm still recovering a bit, taking things a little slower, but it's fine. It's the week before Dragon Age. That's kind of the next big game that I'm looking forward to, the one that I want to cover a lot with the team, of course, on the channel. So looking forward to that. And maybe you already see it, but maybe the chat as well. We finally got the upgrades. I'm tired of all the people saying, "What the heck is with your dildo microphone?" Over.
We're entering a new era, okay?
Yeah, exactly. And I want to do one thing, and it's kind of like blocking. You put it nicely in the video, but like we can like switch. This is what I normally look like. Let's see. How do you?
Yeah, look at that. That's his old school setup. Look at that.
Yeah, it's my old webcam. It's like it's not bad or anything, but it's especially when I like do full screen HD or even 4K, then the webcam, and the light is just not natural. But if we can now switch to this.
Yeah, much softer.
Way better.
Oh, more natural too. I have a feeling like this is what the room actually looks like. It's not like super over brightened or anything.
Exactly. And it just now it doesn't look like I am using like a $50 setup versus your incredible. So I had to step up my game. Here we are. Thanks everyone for joining. How are you?
I am doing good. I'm doing good. It's also kind of a weird time in the year because we don't have a ton of stuff to talk about. We had Citizen Con. I'll have a video going up on Citizen Con and Star Citizen updates here in just a little bit. I also tried the Delta Force demo. In case people are not aware, that's like top 5 wish-listed games on all of Steam. Really solid. I mean, for a free-to-play game from kind of out of nowhere, really shockingly well done. So we'll talk about that. We got a sponsored video on that. That's
launching
cool.
like December, right?
They have their playtest beta, whatever, is launching December 5th.
Oh yeah.
So that video should also go up later today because we have some deadlines on that. And then of course we're waiting for Dragon Age, and then one of the like last minute breaking news pieces that's not really enough for us to do like a segment on, but I'll mention it for anybody out there that is interested. They announced this morning they are doing an open beta test for Monster Hunter Wilds. And just what would be the least convenient time for this to kick off? Of course, the same day Dragon Age launches. So October 28th, they're going to kickstart it on PlayStation 5. And then it's going to be coming to Steam, Xbox, and PlayStation on the 31st and run for a few days there.
Wait, I gotta run. Someone is at the door.
Yeah, you're good. So we'll have the chance to play it. I would guess that a lot of this is going to be like a single monster hunt or maybe a couple, but I mean, nonetheless, we're going to play it and I'm going to lose a lot of time to it. And it's weird because we're in sort of an empty spot in the industry right now where things are just kind of quiet before Call of Duty, before Dragon Age, before all this other stuff. But there's still a lot of games out there. Like I'm still pouring tons of time into Metaphor ReFantasio, not anywhere near as fast as some people. It always makes me laugh when people are like, Luke, I finished Metaphor a week ago. What's taking you so long? I have 2 kids, man. Like I get off stream and I go get them up from naps and we go on walks and stuff. Like I am past the days of me being able to sit down and play like 8 hours of a game, but I will play through it when I get the chance and enjoy it. So I've been grinding out Metaphor, having a great time with that. It's so good. It's also now I'm at the point in Metaphor where I'm like, do I go back and start Persona 5 again? And like that's the last thing I need to do is kickstart another RPG. Like, so struggles of an RPG lover. There's always something out there to consume your time. But beyond that, the other thing
Did you finished Unknown 9 already? I heard a lot of good things about it.
I don't think anybody did. Yeah, Unknown 9. Did you see what they were trying to do? I have this bookmarked just for people to see. They apparently were going to try to turn this into like another kind of Concord massive franchise thing. Yeah, here it is. They posted this. Get ready for the expansion of the Unknown 9 universe from their official Twitter page. And top comment reminds me of the roadmap for Concord. They have the game, a comic book series issuance, novel trilogy, books 1 and 2, a scripted podcast, a web series that's 7 episodes long, a scripted podcast, the second season of it, another comic book series, and then a novel trilogy book 3 release. And this is for a game that did not break 250 players on Steam. Like, they are getting...
First time that a comic book gets read more than the game gets played.
Unironically, it might. If it goes on Amazon and people are shopping around, it's unbelievable.
That's cool. Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, it kind of sounds like Forspoken a bit as well. I think that, I mean, we did not see the roadmap, but I do think that was like Square Enix kind of banking on a new IP for this generation. But that obviously did not work out either.
It really makes you wonder what the standards are. Like, in order to greenlight all of that, you'd think that executives were seeing numbers that showed this was very promising, was going to be a $1 billion franchise. And I would just love to know what those numbers were. And if there weren't numbers backing that up, why on God's green earth did they greenlight all of that? It's just bizarre. But
it sounds like the nephew of the boss said like an idea for since they were kids.
Yeah, that might be it. It might be like an eccentric millionaire or billionaire that's like, sure, I'll bankroll it. Jacob says they'll make everything but an interesting game. Yeah, it kind of seems like it. But anyway, it's been a great week. We have a shorter show today. We're kind of on a time crunch. But I guess to kickstart all of this, I want to say thank you to everybody who listens on the go, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you may listen. We appreciate you. And if you're here with us live, you guys are goated, of course.
And we got more 5-star reviews. Of course, we would kindly ask you to go do that, support the show. That's like a nice way to do it. We're at 317 5 stars, or 316 5 stars, and 1 star. And I've never seen that person again. We don't know what happened to them.
Yeah, I mean, my hitman probably found him, but what are you gonna do?
But nobody will miss this person.
Yeah, the world's a better place.
53 Nights said I left a review on the Apple Podcast. Okay, I'm gonna quickly check that out, but we can move on.
Yes.
I thought it was interesting to quickly go over the Prince of Persia thing. For people who don't know, there was like a French creator who posted like a video, or was like a Spanish. I'm not sure, but
it was French. I think.
And they said like basically the Prince of Persia, the Lost Crown team has been disbanded, and then it sounded like, okay, Ubisoft Milan over, or was it? It is Ubisoft.
It was
Milan,
like
right?
Montpellier, I think.
Or Montpellier, yeah. The Milan team is more the Rabbits team. Either way, that basically it sounded like they were shutting down, and that it was kind of because of course, as we know, even though the game got really good reviews, it's like the best Ubisoft game in the last how many years, and it sadly did not set the world on fire in terms of sales, at least not what they expected. But what we learned right now from Insider Gaming, who did some reporting, they talked to some people involved. Basically, people that were working on the Prince of Persia game, instead of being laid off, they are moving to other projects. So it's not as bad, but they were planning maybe a sequel for this game, but that's not happening anymore. Um, do you want to like quickly touch on that, or should we talk about the 3 projects that these people are moving on to first?
Yeah, just to mention up front, I still think that this is bad optically because again, like Ubisoft is, in my opinion, right now at a stage where they need to be acquiring goodwill and to be rewarding the critically acclaimed games and studios, letting them make more of those, and then discouraging the poorly reviewed stuff, even if, and not just reviews, but the poorly received stuff with fans. You need to really embrace the idea that maybe we're going to see a drop in sales volume, but we're going to gain all that and more in goodwill, which will help us in the long run. And I still feel like disbanding the team, even if you're sending them to other projects, disbanding the team that made your best reviewed game in a long time is still just a bizarre choice. So having said that, what are the 3 other things they're going off to work on?
Yeah, so what Insider Gaming is reporting is that they are like most of the team, and this is very sad, have joined the development on Beyond Good and Evil 2. Remember? That's still happening. Which revived internally in 2017. Around a dozen employees have moved to Project Over, the next mainline Ghost Recon game. So imagine like making this Metroidvania and now you're suddenly making a technical shooter. Like, okay. And the most interesting sort of news tidbit is that a Rayman remake is in development at Ubisoft Milan. So it seems like some people from this team. That's why I got confused. But that's seemingly also in the works. So again, that is that Rabbids team. So makes sense that they are doing something with Rayman. Of course, that was the DLC for Sparks of Hope, the final one. But yeah, what a remake will look like, we don't know. But yeah, we do know now that some Prince of Persia developers are helping with that. There is one wrinkle to it though, because it's called Project Steambot, and it's already kind of unpopular with the developers because the original creator Michel Ancel is like a consultant on the project, and he was like kind of outed as like a bad, like a toxic leader. I think during the big exodus and during the big in 2020, of course, when a lot of news, like bad news about a lot of leader or people in leadership positions at Ubisoft came to light, and he was one of those people that was not just very nice to work with. I'm not sure what the exact details were, but basically just a very toxic. He created a toxic workplace, but now Ubisoft is still going back to this person to shepherd this, or like at least help with this Rayman remake. And I don't know, like I don't think sure, it makes sense for the original creator to ask, but I'm not sure if they're gonna use his name as like because it's not like a good name anymore. So I'm not, and it's like kind of hurting the morale of the team. So I don't know what, like, do you really need that person to make a Rayman remake? I think actually having a lot of like new eyes on it might actually be good instead of Michelle. But
it's always tricky because I think there's 2 sides of it. On the one hand, there's the appeal to get new eyes on it to do something fresh. Cool. But every studio, every publisher in the world is mortified at the possibility of having like a Dead Rising 4 or a Saints Row reboot or something where they brought in fresh eyes and they destroyed the entire franchise. I mean, not just they blew the game, but like they destroyed a franchise that was worth millions and millions and millions of dollars. So I think they're cautious to do that and just bring in totally fresh eyes and let them reinvent it. So they like to have some veterans who understand the fan base and understand it. But the problem with this is that, the veteran, like you said, is maybe not somebody you want to attach to the game. And so it just puts you in a tough spot between a rock and a hard place. I don't really know if this works out. And I'll ask people in the chat. I honestly don't know. Is Rayman like still a big thing?
I mean,
like
there are like 2, I think, things like bigger picture things that I think are interesting to discuss. One is the Rayman sort of thing, like you said. I think this once again shows I think, the bigger problem with Ubisoft as a whole, where they have to find something for these people at Ubisoft Milan to do. And then they're like, okay, let's just remake Rayman. And on one end, it's nice because those people get to keep their job because, again, that is the the Rabbids team, Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope. Another game that underperformed in like the long list of games in the recent years that did not do very well. Nintendo said, "Yeah, you should have waited for the Switch 2 to launch the game." I'm sure they will have a Switch 2 version, but it will probably be too late already. But yeah, instead of laying them off, they're okay. What can we do with your expertise? Okay, let's bring Rayman back, I guess. But you could argue, is that needed? It just also feels like just something to do. And even what is the ceiling for Rayman, right? What, a few
Yeah.
million copies?
That's
Like,
where I'm at. I don't think it's that high, honestly.
Yeah.
It's like everybody's saying they want to relaunch some of these like Jack and Daxter. There will be some people that eat that up for sure, but I don't think, people were saying that should be Naughty Dog's next project. I'm like, they are such an expensive studio to run. There's no way they have Naughty Dog spend 5 years doing that when it's going to do AA numbers. Like, it just doesn't make sense. But I mean, I think this is why investors especially have been really frustrated with Ubisoft, is because most other studios and publishers would lay off these teams that are making games that aren't performing, and then they would only pour that money into the studios that are making the blockbusters that make a ton of money. That's what EA does. That's what Take-Two does. That's what all of these studios do. Maybe with Take-Two, the exception being Ken Levine's team working on Judas. They kind of let him do whatever he wants for a decade. But in general, that's how they do it. And Ubisoft has just not taken that approach. Ubisoft historically will keep employees even if they don't have anything for them to do. And so they just overinflate. And that's why investors are like, it would be one thing if you had 20,000 employees and you were making GTA 6s on the regular, but you're not, and I'm not sure if this strategy has been working. So, but it doesn't seem like they're changing it. They're trying to retain the talent, and I can understand the desire. And on the one hand, from an outside perspective, we can appreciate, like Joe Raptor said, that they're trying to give people job security and let them stay working even if the bigger projects aren't lined up. But also from a business perspective, this is why Ubisoft is in the place it is.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the other point. Like, and I saw here one random victory say, does everything have to have the highest ceiling? Sure, it doesn't, but like I also think that stretching yourself too thin with all these projects that maybe don't deserve all your marketing time, and because you still have to bring them to market, and like the Ubisoft right now just lacks a focus, a vision, and having even more of these random ass projects everywhere, I'm not sure if that's gonna help. So that's kind of where, sure, if they go about it and think, okay, this game is gonna sell 2 million, yeah, sure, then that's fine, but that's still a spot you have to secure for your Ubisoft Forward. Press events you have to arrange. Like, it's still way more time and energy for a smaller game that maybe you could put in an Assassin's Creed marketing campaign where, yeah, your ceiling is way higher. You can reach way more people if you maybe focus a bit more on it. And the other part is like the Prince of Persia. I get that people are kind of sad about it. I really think this project, I don't know what their idea behind this was, because it felt like, okay, people wanted Prince of Persia back, but not this Prince of Persia. So it felt like, and that's what you see. I think, and that's also part of the article. Developers tell me that Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown was a perfect project. It was first pitched in June 2020 and saw a relatively straightforward development pipeline, a luxury that most development teams at Ubisoft don't have. So it went perfect, and still you cannot make something a thing that people don't want, and that's what we have seen many times this year, and that's kind of sad. And then I get that people are like, oh, screw them for or like that. I don't know if you wanna focus on like I just wanted this team to make something that people actually wanted to play. Like maybe they tried it, of course, a side-scrolling Assassin's Creed. I think that would have maybe done better. I just don't know if there was ever a market for this. Let alone the fact that a few months later they released Rogue Prince of Persia. I don't understand their strategy. So, first of all, it's like sad for the team that worked on this, that did their absolute best, that delivered a great game. But you'll have to look at it from another perspective as well and see a sequel to this game was gonna sell even less. It was not worth their time. It's sad that they are not gonna make, like, that the team is not staying together and that they are throwing them to Beyond Good and Evil 2. That oh
Maybe
my
this
God.
is what it
Where to
needs.
start? Where to start, right? So maybe in this case, it would have been better for these developers to go to a different studio where they can actually make this Metroidvania type game. But now they're making maybe, I don't know, maps for the PvP mode in Ghost Recon. Like, is that what we want? So I don't know. We cannot really win it. But it's still the management, though. They greenlit this project. Like this article says, Ubisoft had ridiculously high internal expectations. Basically, they looked at other Metroidvanias and were like, oh, we can probably reach that as well. But yeah, those were indie games, smaller budget, and also this game was $50 when it came out. That's still kind of wild. That also did not help. So I don't know, man. Mismanagement all the way. So, yeah.
It's the tale of the tape
crazy.
with Ubisoft. Is it's just like,
Yeah.
it seems like some of these choices are so simple, and yet they manage consistently to just baffle everybody, even those who work within it. They mention, Beyond Good and Evil 2. This is from the Insider Gamer article. They say, quote, Beyond Good and Evil 2 is a project still a few years away, with developers across the entire publisher confused as to why Ubisoft continues to invest tens of millions a year in development, which it's likely to never get back. I don't think anybody in the pop culture sphere is aware of Beyond Good and Evil, much less Beyond Good and Evil 2. I don't know, the gameplay demos, the engine demos they showed back in 2017 were kind of cool, especially for the time. But we've got nothing else. That one is particularly baffling. There's got to be some sort of Skull and Bones style contract that limits their ability to cancel it. There's no way.
I love how that's a phrase now, a Skull of Bones style culture.
Yeah. Well, it's like there's this weird phenomenon almost exclusively with Ubisoft where there are games that no one sees any potential in, that they announce and then continue to try to make a thing for years and years, and they get caught in development hell, and you're like, why don't you just cancel it? Nobody is going to buy it. You're not going to make your money back. And they just continue pushing it, and so it's kind of created its own phenomenon.
By the way, fun fact, I looked at the Steam charts for the Beyond Good and Evil 20th Anniversary Edition. They launched this year, so it's like a 4K 60 FPS version of the first game. What do you think the peak concurrent is for that game?
158.
More than Unknown 9.
Oh, more?
No.
358.
It's 589. Still, though, 13 players playing right now. Shout out to you. Probably half of them are the development team of Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Yeah, probably. That was the fun thing people forget about Concord, is when Concord launched with those abysmal player numbers, there were different PlayStation studios, like Sony Bend, who were tweeting out, our whole team is logging in to play and support you. So it's possible they had less than 100 players outside of the PlayStation org, which is hilarious. It's so funny.
But yeah, it's wild. It's wild. It's another great example, of the crazy things that are happening at Ubisoft. And the sad part is, it's probably not gonna change as long as the leadership stays the same.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, I think it's overall, before we move on, I think it's overall an interesting. This kind of reminds me of Hi-Fi Rush, right? That now we have this a Kraton or whatever they're called, Krafton or something. They bought they bought the studio now, Tango, and they are like, it doesn't make financial sense for us to make a Hi-Fi Rush 2, and it kind of feels like the same here, where Xbox also, just shut down that studio because Hi-Fi Rush did not set the world on fire, even though it was like, for a lot of people's favorite game of the year. So that is kind of interesting that maybe we in our bubble are like, oh, it's so important, blah blah blah, but it really for them is really not. They would rather launch a 6 out of 10 Call of Duty that people are angry about, but for Black Ops 6 they will all show up again. Like, that's of course always the thing with gamers. We kind of forget when the next hype thing is around the corner. I mean, not in all regards, but mostly. So I'm not sure how if the argument where it's like, they need a win, if that is really the win that we think it is, right? If Prince of Persia being a good game did not stop all the creators and everyone else for constantly like bringing Ubisoft down, and rightfully so for many mistakes they made, but no one of them said, oh, but they launched a good game with Prince of Persia, so I'm gonna give them a pass.
Yeah, I mean, I think so the guys,
it doesn't really matter.
I think the guys that have made like channels where, the content is just built around, Assassin's Creed Shadows, another woke pile of garbage. Like, they're never going to be that interested in like, but Prince of Persia was really good. They're probably going to say that game was bad too because, of whatever reason. But I do think that if we're talking about the brand of Ubisoft, there is a problem right now where the perception is that they really struggle with identifying quality projects and greenlighting the things that should be greenlit. And they have a really inconsistent quality level. If it's inconsistent, if it is consistent, it's consistently like, for the last 5-6 years at least. So it's like, how do you break that mold? How do you break that perception? Well, you start putting out stuff that is very well received, that is critically acclaimed, that gets those nominations, and maybe you start to shift the narrative a little bit. It'll take time. It won't happen overnight. Because even if whatever, like say Shadow somehow comes out and it's like blowing everybody's mind, and in some universe it's like a 10 out of 10. Let's just say hypothetically it's a masterpiece somehow. You'll still have people that are like, well, I'm still going to wait for a sale because it's Ubisoft, and I'm not sure if I buy that it's a masterpiece. I'm going to wait because of their past performance and behavior. That's what happens when your brand quality and brand reputation has been eroded. So they have to work for years to build that up. And that means maybe putting out stuff that is not going to be the blockbuster microtransaction filled monstrosity, but that will eventually be performant in the long term. And whether or not they can even financially manage to do that is another question. I get that. But I would hope that they figure that out, because I'd rather have more good games than just more PvP maps in Ghost Recon.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I totally agree. In the end though, like, the market has spoken as well. Like, people just didn't want this game, even though like everything was right in terms of quality. Still, people did not show up, sadly. Although, I mean, I see people say it in the chat as well. It did not launch on Steam day one. Like, they're now rectifying that for future launches. Would have helped here as well.
Yeah.
Etc. Etc. I mean, that Rogue Prince of Persia game that's gonna shut down probably any moment now, right?
Yeah.
What the heck?
Can somebody answer in chat? I don't actually know the answer to this because I haven't tried it with these recent releases. Does Prince of Persia through Steam launch Ubisoft Connect and then the game, or does it just launch the game? Because I played it on Ubisoft Connect before they brought it to Steam. But you're saying, Demetrius, Tyler says yes. Okay, so it still uses the launcher. Yeah. It just lets you buy it through Steam. They're halfway there. The thing Dragon Age Veilguard is doing, where they just have like a native Steam version, that's, I think, what ultimately people want. Like, nobody wants to press play and then have a second launcher boot up that you still have to figure out what your login is, and it has to update for 5 minutes because the code's so unoptimized. Like,
But the Ubisoft Connect trinket for your weapon.
Oh, you're right. Then. Yeah. Where else will I get my rabid trinket for the hilt of my sword or something. I don't know what it would be. Yeah. I don't understand why the Ubisoft launcher always has me logged out. Like every time. I can boot it 2 days in a row and it's like, you need to log in again. Drives me crazy. Anyway, what also
Security.
I guess let's call out the super chats and stuff that we got real quick, and then we'll move on to the next one. Sumaya, right at the top of the show, have all the achievements in Sparking Zero now. Shifting to Metaphor Refantasio, going to play on hard difficulty. Wish me luck. Good luck, Sumaya. It starts out not that tough, but it ramps like 15, 20 hours in. There's some, like, you can tell the combat team was like, are we good to like start really trolling them? And the director was like, yes. And then they start just throwing stuff at you. The like deflection abilities are actively infuriating because you'll find an enemy and you're going to be like, ooh, heavy attack, slam. But the deflection thing just reflects the damage back onto you. So you'll deal like 500 damage and just one shot yourself. And you're like, okay, that didn't work. And it's a good time. I recommend it.
You skipped over the most important part from that super chat, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Maya saying, I have all the achievements in Sparking Zero. I really hope that you buy like a shirt with that achievement so everyone knows they can just ignore, like walk around you when they see you on the street.
Yeah, it's like a hazard sign or like
yeah.
You'll get the reflective tape. I played Dragon Ball.
And I'm not sure if you noticed, but these last few weeks have been amazing. No crime whatsoever. Everyone playing Dragon Ball.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, it's great. Spencer, thank you for the 2. When's the Witcher Patreon critique, Luke? Dude, that's the other thing I'm playing on my ROG Ally. I'm going through the DLC. I played through all of The Witcher 3 again, collected tons of footage, all sorts of stuff. Played through Hearts of Stone, going through Blood and Wine. So yeah, that is in the works.
You did one already, or did you not?
I did, but I did them like 7 years ago or something, and I was never really happy with them. And I threw this out to our Patreon subscribers, and I was like, okay, you guys vote on the next project. And there were a few projects in there. There was like a revisit to Fallout 4, there was the Witcher video, there was a couple others, but they voted on the Witcher 3 revisit. So we're going to do kind of one big video that kind of top down looks over the whole Witcher 3 and kind of revisits my critiques from 2017-ish. And we'll see if I agree with it. I agree with a lot of what I said. There's a couple tidbits where I differ, but yeah, we'll get to that. I'm working on it.
Yeah, but what are you gonna call it? Because this was the ultimate critique.
Yeah, so. Now it's not the ultimate critique. The re-ultimate critique.
Yeah.
The re-Fantasio critique. I don't know.
Yeah. Really, this time.
Yeah, for real. Marty, thank you for that. I originally discovered Luke via Jor. Always wondered how you guys met. I mean, I always saw Jor Raptor's videos popping up because, like I said, I've been an AC fan for a long time, and Jor has covered it since I was a baby, I'm sure. So, I saw his videos a bunch, and I forget what our first collab was.
Yeah, it is like more than a year ago, right?
I think so. Yeah, I'm not totally sure. But at one point we reached out, we did a collab or two together, and then we were like...
I mean, the moment you said Assassin's Creed Odyssey is actually underrated, I was like, okay, we can talk, and let's do this. Because I saw at that moment a lot of Odyssey broke me, blah, blah, blah.
I still stand by that. I'm like, Assassin's Creed game-wise, yeah, it's not that great. Yeah, in terms of stealth, it's not a strength in that game. But... as an open world adventure game, it's pretty fantastic. And I stand by that today. Who is older? I'm 27.
Yes. Okay. I'm not.
I'm not. Jor is actually 65 years old. It's that it's that northern air. It just
and I even have the beard. Like if I remove the beard, I look like even younger. No, I'm 30 and I'm almost 31 in December.
Wow. I would not guess it. I would have guessed like 23, honestly.
Oh my God. I have to talk more like this.
Yeah.
Okay, Luke.
Boy.
Super chat.
Okay, and then Blake, thank you for the 5. Probably would have done better if it was a classic style or close to it for Prince of Persia. First game coming back probably shouldn't have been a 2D. Yeah, I agree, and I also think this was paired with the bad press of the remake that they showed and didn't really look like a remake at all, and then people were like, is that really all we're doing? And then they didn't cancel it. I think they said they restarted it. The Prince of Persia remake they were working on.
Oh, yeah. So it was first made by a team in India, I think, like a smaller team that never really. They were always support studio. And then they came out. Of course, had the big reveal. It's coming out in January 2021, and then everyone was like, "This looks very bad." So then Ubisoft Montreal was like, "Okay, we're bringing it in house," and now they're remaking it from the ground up. 2026.
Yeah.
When it's coming.
Yeah, but I mean, at least that says they're actually remaking it. I mean, if they remake Prince of Persia, but with like the Anvil engine of today, like with the Shadows engine, that would be crazy.
I mean, it was made on the Origins engine, but that's what actually caused a lot of issues because there was no wall running and stuff in that engine.
Yeah, and you can't really strip that out of Prince of Persia. You can't really scrap that. And then lastly, Tyler, thank you for the 5. I hate how old AC games on Steam either don't have cloud saves or on my Steam Deck, the capsules are landscape images instead of portrait. Oh, like, yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, that's just unfortunately how it is. The cloud save thing is, it spoils you, man. I'll tell you what, whenever I see a game that like doesn't have cloud saves, it breaks my brain because I love it. Being able to play here and then boot it up on my laptop or Ally and just play. I freaking love it. I'm the Juggernaut Glitch. Thank you. 10 gifted memberships to the community on YouTube. That is phenomenal. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Glad to have you guys. And if you are a brand new member, go check out the members tab. I have an exclusive video there. We're also going to do another exclusive video. Hint, hint. On for Halloween on the Quiet Place horror game that just launched. So that's going to be members and Patreon only because it doesn't really have a spot on the main channel, but I'm still going to make a video on it. And if you want to see that, be a member and you can see that. So thank you, everybody.
Put it on the Quiet Place.
It's going to be a weird video because they have it like hooked up to your microphone. So if you make sound in the game, the creature sees you. So like I'm going to be playing the game trying to stay like perfectly quiet while making a video about it. So it's going to be weird. It might be a really unentertaining video, but we're going to find out.
No, but what you can do is like, select a different microphone for the game and for the...
Yeah, that's what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have like the headset mic.
Yeah, maybe that's
for the game.
smart. And
yeah,
if you can like turn it off like manually, like mute it. I'm not sure if you can through the headphone or...
I'm not sure either. Well, we're going to find out. We're going to find out. Yeah. And then I know I said last, but you guys are very generous today, so I'll throw this out. So my thing for that, can we pull up Sparking Zero Steam page? I see the Ultimate Edition benefits. Everything AC Shadows was criticized for. I need big YouTubers to criticize this. Dragon Ball YouTubers don't complain about it enough. I've brought it up plenty of times, specifically bringing up like that whatever it is, whatever Resident Evil 4 remake last year or you know any number of various games that have done not just pre-order bonuses but will have in-game items available for sale as a DLC or something, where these games get away with it, but then a company like Ubisoft or Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball did get away with it, but you know Ubisoft won't get away with it. I've brought that up, but simply the reason that one company gets away with it and the other doesn't is because if the game is good enough, people are willing to overlook it. That's really all it comes down to. If the game is good enough, people look past bad business practices. It's just how it works. People are willing to overlook the $40 skins in Call of Duty because they really like Call of Duty and they're not willing to give it up. People are only willing to really get upset about anti-consumer practices if they weren't going to play the game anyways. But the second it's a game they want to play, all of a sudden they get real quiet. And that's why, honestly, the people that are most upset about the Assassin's Creed, like season pass, early access, whatever stuff, I don't think they were ever going to play the game, which is why they were willing to be so upset about it. But
Yep.
anyway, our second big topic has to do with PlayStation, Bungie, and their live service plans.
I know people love them live service games. So let's talk about it.
Get
I thought
enough.
this was pretty interesting. It's like a small news story, but basically, people inside Bungie are moving to a new sort of. Basically, PlayStation is making a new creative team to oversee their live service games, and a lot of Bungie people are moving towards that team. So second, we're working with PlayStation Studio leadership to spin out one of our incubation projects. Oh wait, that's an older thing. Basically, yeah, what I said. Some people from Bungie are moving on. Today's my last day at Bungie, but not our last day working on Destiny and Marathon. Bungie Creative Studios is joining the PlayStation Studios to build the foundation for a creative team that can support all the PlayStation live service games, including Concord. So it's coming back. No, we don't know. As part of this move, I'm taking on a new role as the Senior Director of Creative at PlayStation Studios. I mean, I saw some people say, oh, I thought after Concord they were moving away from live service games. Obviously not gonna happen, and this basically shows that they are, maybe making it, like, taking it a bit more seriously, trying a different approach to hopefully avoid a Concord situation in the future.
Yeah, to be clear for everybody, like, this has been the critique of PlayStation's live service plans since the very beginning, which is that the philosophy is that if you have just a crap ton of live service games, just an ocean of them, only a few of them will ever like see the light of day. So maybe, you know, these funnel through, this funnels through, these are canceled, these flop, whatever. But only a few of them will ever make it through. And then from there, even fewer will funnel through, and you might end up with one success at the end of all of it. Like maybe one. But that one pays for all the other projects that flopped, so it's worth it. And that's the philosophy of their live service approach, is let's throw 15 games at the wall and see what sticks. Concord didn't stick. That one really hurt because they spent a lot of money on it and they really thought it was going to be good, but that's okay because they've got a bunch more lined up and they're going to keep doing it. We got Fair Game $sign coming. Okay. You're going to love that one. And if you don't, we got another one coming. Okay.
I love your voice of the. Who is this? Is this the live service exec?
Yeah, the live service. It's that South Park thing where it's
Yeah.
Oh, geez, you didn't like this game. Oh, that's too bad. Well, I guess you could go play another game from us, but this is the only one we're releasing this year. Oh man.
Let's make. You thought that during the recent state of play they would already show more of the live service stuff.
I thought they were doubling down, like, and that they would just be defiant and showcase a trailer or two for like Fair Game, $sign and stuff. And to their credit, they decided to win back some goodwill with some single player stuff.
Yeah, they were like, Sucker Punch, please speed up the trailer because we need a win. So what do you think the strategy is gonna be right now? Because obviously 2025, we know about some PlayStation games. Death Stranding 2, Ghost of Tsushima, probably some more like Marathon as the big live service game. Although, from what we heard about that could easily slip to 2026 as well. But it kind of seems like they want to get that out because Destiny 2 is declining. So, what do you think? What is the next strategy? When are these puzzle pieces going to fall? Do you think Game Awards, we get Fair Games already with a beta and it's coming sooner than we think, or Horizon Online suddenly shows up? Because those are kind of the games that we have. Horizon Online, Fair Games, Marathon. A lot that got cancelled, actually. I don't think we have much more.
Horizon, Fair Games. I think there's There's a few more that are unaccounted for. Didn't the Days Gone guys, aren't they working on a live service game?
Yeah, that's right. But it's I hope that's true. So Sony Band doing one as well. Although I hope it's more like an added thing onto the sort of single player game they're making. But
Fingers crossed.
because that could really be the end of that studio.
Yeah, for real, if they blow that. I think honestly, the likelihood that this is what I would hope for, is that they learned from the Concord debacle that, for one, high production marketing does not necessarily mean that players are going to fall in love with your game. Okay. Two, I think you need to have really condensed marketing cycles for these unknown games, so that people are kind of like a flash in the pan. Oh, it's exciting. They go in there, they flood it, they try the game, hopefully with a free to play beta or something, and they try the game, and hopefully it's good enough that they become hooked. So I think you need to catch, make a huge splash and then try to let people ride that into shore. If it's a bigger franchise, or if it's from a massive studio like a Marathon, or until recently the Last of Us Online game, you can have longer marketing cycles for that, because people are just going to stay interested by the nature of the studio. But if it's from an unknown quantity, like a Fair Game dollar sign, I think doing 5 different trailers in a really prolonged marketing cycle is just a way for people to continue checking out. And you'll end up with a Skull and Bones thing where people are like, oh, that came out already? I thought that was still unreleased, where they just kind of mentally block it out. So I think they're going to rework their marketing strategies with these and the release schedules. You better believe everybody over at Haven working on Fair Game dollar sign is sweating after the Concord thing. And I'm sure everybody at PlayStation is sweating after that, and they're trying to figure out how the hell they're going to manage this. So it's something that they're well aware of, no doubt. But whether or not, their conscious awareness of the problem leads to a solution to the problem, I am not convinced. Because it still seems like they're about to relaunch Concord. And I understand why. Maybe it doesn't make sense to just totally scrap it, but they're still doing updates to the Steam files. They're still working on it on the back end. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they end up launching that free to play.
That's crazy to me. But yeah, I think we would have heard a Firewalk shutdown or something, right? By this point.
Yeah, if they were going to can it. The fact that they're making updates, and I mean, let's be honest, it is a complete game. Doesn't have many modes or anything, but it is a complete game. And if it were to go free to play, then you might get some players. The problem for Concord is that it was monetized around the premise that they got a huge influx of cash when people bought it up front. So some games are balanced around just being free to play, and then they'll make all the money on the back end. Concord was balanced around making most of the money up front. So even if they launch it free to play and they just set the price to 0 on the PlayStation Store, that doesn't work, because they still won't make hardly any money, because the heroes I believe they said the heroes were supposed to be free, and they're going to do all this other stuff, which was a solid way to do it.
They're going to give you a pink Baymax.
Yeah, there you go. I think that's probably what they're doing, is they're working on pricing out skins in a store, and then they're going to launch it free to play and just hope that some people play it and have fun with it. I don't think that's safe, but
no, but they must have had some characters already done, right? Like these, they had the whole seasons planned. So maybe they're launching it all at once and hope that some people play it and then be done with it. I don't know.
Some people in chat were saying they really don't think they're going to launch it free to play. Some people are saying I think they cut it to $20 and then they just release everything all at once.
Yeah, I can see that happen. Because I don't think you want to support this anymore, but I do think you maybe for them the profit is higher by releasing the things they already made and just putting that out for a lower price, and hopefully people just play it as an old school multiplayer game. Versus, I mean, that's what we see with Multiverse as well. That went away for a year. It had way more hype around it. It hold on to that player base for a few days, and even with a very rapid player, they spend a ton of money probably on that to have a good cadence. nobody cares. So I'm not sure if that's the right way forward for them. But I would have like cut and run already, but they are probably knees deep into it. Um, so yeah, it's crazy. But what do you think the first game is that we see? And please, can we just say fair games without the dollar sign? I kind of
I
was
just
like, oh,
I like to troll it because whenever somebody does like they thought that was so clever to put a dollar sign in instead of the S, but it actively infuriates me. I don't know
yeah,
why. Maybe it's an OCD thing, but it ticks me off. Um, yeah, I think the reporting says that Sony and the people at Haven are really proud of it. They think that there's a lot of potential with
yeah.
fair
But they said it with
games,
Concord as well.
but they said that with Concord as well. It seems
Remember,
like
like that's. I'm not sure if you ever went back to the press release where they bought the Firewalk Studios, the Concord developer, and one of the things Herman Hull said, they have an innovative way to tell a story in a multiplayer game, and that is the 2-minute cutscene every week. That is that's what they already tout as innovative, blah blah blah. So I'm not believing anything
the
they say
cutscene
anymore.
everybody was skipping the second that they could to
Yeah,
get into the game that they wanted to play.
yeah,
Yeah, I agree that I wouldn't put much weight into their confidence with it. All I know is that they are confident with it. I spoke to somebody who is close with people over at Haven, and they said that the main reason of interest with Haven was the technology they have. It wasn't even
yeah.
necessarily the game. They think the game has tons of potential, blah, blah, blah. It's innovative, whatever they would say. But they said that the tech is what they primarily were interested in. It's a team made up of a bunch of like former Google execs and not execs, developers
Yeah.
and stuff. So
And it's the Canadian studio they did not have. And did this person also say if it's fair games or fair games dollar sign so we
they,
can
they,
once and for all?
they called it fair games. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I just think like, you know, maybe it does end up being a really cool game, but if like the reports are saying Marathon is targeting a $40 price point, I wouldn't be surprised if Fair Games ends up targeting a $40 price point as well. They just have this mentality, and PlayStation has had it for a long time, where they're like, these are premium products. We charge premium prices. I understand that, but it doesn't mean that live service players who are playing predominantly free-to-play games will go along with it. Maybe it is the brilliant move. I understand for Helldivers it worked, but I would say Helldivers was exceptionally successful. Just that. Exception. All.
And it was like something you just haven't played before, and I really think that argument like they have, and I'm not sure, I don't know, you're not making it, but that's what they are, that's what they are saying. But if you look at something like the First Descendant, that's like a triple A game as well. Like they spent a ton of money on it, and they're also releasing it for free. Apex the same. I mean,
Once
Fortnite.
Human, like
Yeah.
tons of
So yeah,
Delta Force.
you have to, yeah, exactly. So you have to. It's just not the same anymore. And sure, looking at the, like, if Sony would release a God of War with a lot of motion capture scenes, blah blah blah, for free, that would be crazy. But yeah, you're competing with other games here. So
Yeah, and I think that's the part that they miss is they are looking at premium games and saying, well, we got $70 for this, we got $40 for this, we got $50 for this. And I get that. But you are going against free-to-play titans. And so I don't think it's fair to compare the two. And I think if you do, you're going to end up with a Concord situation where people say, why would I pay $40 for this when Overwatch is free and is basically the same game? So,
yep.
As to answer your question that you asked at the
Yeah.
very outset of this, where do I think they go? Like, what do they show first?
Yeah.
I think they've learned their lesson. I think they will wait to showcase Fair Games until they have another trailer to show for like a Death Stranding or for a Ghost of Yotei or something like that. I don't think that they lead with Fair Games. I think they try to sandwich it in a presentation that has some other good stuff.
I hope and think that they might give Fair Games like a day on the blog post, so not put it in the state of play until it's like ready to launch and people have given feedback and it's like in a way better spot. So, because I think putting a lot of focus, and that's what we saw with Concord and the first trailer for Fair Games, putting a lot like that in the spotlight is not helping anyone. While if it is like a blog post, people that only care about it will read it, there will be a closed test, people can sign up for it. Then when the eventual trailer will be part of the showcase or whatever, people might be in the comments like, no, but it's actually great. Like, I think they need a community around these games first before they put them in front of the mainstream audience again. So I hope they do that. And I hope the Horizon Online game doesn't have a Fortnite style, because that's what I'm scared of.
I think Joe Raptor might not like it. It's okay. You'll have Lego Horizon to play instead. You'll have something else. It'll be okay.
I mean, they're hearing good things about it.
I am hearing good things about it. It does look very, very cute.
Yeah, I think it will be fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But cool. Let's do the super chats real quick, and then I gotta get out because a friend of mine is launching a book today, and he's doing a small party.
Ooh.
Because for people who don't know, I'm in the Netherlands. It's not 7 p.m. right now. So
yeah, let's rock this out. Okay, Lee, thank you for the membership. Kijan, thank you for the 5. How's the battery life on Witcher with the Ally? I've been playing it on Steam Deck. Love you guys. If you're playing it at the full like turbo mode or whatever, you might get like an hour and a half, maybe. I pretty much carry around a battery bank with me if I'm gonna even play it on the couch. It's the one thing with the Ally. I don't have the Ally X. I have just the regular Ally, and the battery life is not great. It's pretty powerful, but the battery life is not great. Kush, thank you for that. Happy October, Luke and George. Just wanted to ask, Just wanted to ask, don't you think toxic positivity is impacting these studios? I think with Concord, there is no way to deny it. I think that, like, evidently, and according to the reporting, they were saying, allegedly, that this was going to be their Star Wars. This was going to be, like, the next big thing for PlayStation. And the fact that anybody thought that is amazing. Like, I don't think everybody there was that delusional. I think a few people were, and nobody spoke up. So I think that absolutely is a problem. Yeah.
And we see it with other teams, like the Unknown 9 situation is another, I think, great example probably. And we've seen many of these games that just, fail to deliver. But I do think at one point, money speaks and nobody is buying these games. So I do think they are looking at, what went wrong, and maybe are seeing, okay, it was the fact that a few people that have no idea how to make like a compelling product were shepherding this, and had all the control.
It's based on the false premise that everybody has a viewpoint that is valuable. That is not true. Some people have really bad ideas. Some people are bad at their jobs and should be fired. Like, this was never controversial to say until very recently, when it's like, no, everyone is like a little snowflake falling from the sky. And it's like, no, you're bad at your job and you should be fired. Sometimes your perspective isn't valuable. Anyway, that's a separate topic entirely. Tyler, thank you for the 5. Would you be open to the idea of Valve making a Steam console? Do you appreciate Valve waiting for big generational leap in compute for Steam Deck 2? I'll answer the first part. Firstly, Steam console, I think that's just what the Steam Deck is. I know what you mean, like a dedicated Steam console, but I think that would just be a PC that sits on your entertainment center. I'd be open to that, because the Steam Link, while it's okay, the latency is pretty bad. So I would be open to it, but it would also just be basically a mini PC. And I think a lot of people can just build that themselves.
What do you think will come sooner, a Steam console or Microsoft allowing Steam on Xbox?
I think it's Steam console. I
mean, that would be like a huge versus Sony, if anyone, because Sony wants the PC gamers now with their strategy to come over to PlayStation, but if on Xbox you have your whole library already.
Well, I guess it depends on what you mean. I see what you mean now. Think of it that way, like you have the Steam app and you can download Steam games, and then the Xbox basically just plays them like a mini PC natively. That I actually could see working. And, if Xbox is already kind of giving up the console sales of the Xbox store basically with Game Pass, that might not actually be a bad idea. I mean, I know I would be incentivized to use my Xbox a whole hell of a lot more if I could be playing Metaphor up natively on my TV instead of having to do like the Steam Link whatever thing. So
Yeah,
it's not a bad
I
idea.
think that
Does
could
Gabe
be.
like that though? I don't know. Maybe he does.
He
Se-
probably, yeah.
seems like easy money. And then as for waiting for a generational leap, yeah, I think that's the way to do it, because just releasing like a Steam Deck 2 that has a slightly bigger battery or something, I don't think would be that exciting. I think they need the excitement, the pre-orders, they need all that. So I think they're making the right move there. Do you have a Steam Deck, Jor?
No, I have I have my remote play device, the Portal for PlayStation.
Yeah.
So I can like still record my gameplay as well, and yeah, just stream it. And I don't really go away that often, like that I really need a portable device. So
Yeah. We're both homebodies.
Yep.
Sumaya, thank you for that. If you ever feel useless in life, remember that AC Shadows has an official guide which has a walkthrough for quests and has lists of icons on the map.
Yeah, I was like discussing that on my show that I do every Wednesday with another creator about Assassin's Creed, that they already have like a page of the shadows, sort of, which some information about shadows, and we were like zooming in on that. So I think that's a remark towards that. And real quick, funny, there's already a guide about Assassin's Creed Shadows you can buy, but it's clearly made with AI, and it's like the funniest thing ever.
Oh,
So
really?
it's like a Assassin's Creed Shadows guide, and it says like the most basic stuff ever, like become the master assassin working in the shadows, but also abilities for infiltrating shinobi, like a bunch of words smacked together. You can already, we bought it now, and we're gonna see what it what it includes.
It's just
It's obviously,
ChatGPT through and through.
yeah, it's very clearly ChatGPT. Yeah, asking ChatGPT, hey, make an official strategy guide for shadows.
That's so funny. They're like, I bet you could set up like a bot thing unofficial. Because is that an official guide or is that like a unofficial guide?
Oh, it's clearly unofficial, but
Yeah, okay. I thought so.
it's wild.
Because I was going to say, like, you could probably set up a bot that ties into ChatGPT that just crawls wikis and creates a guide with like, here's the ultimate guide to Elden Ring, unofficial. And it just crawls through all of those wiki guides with all the descriptions of bosses, and it just writes everything for you. You could do it in an afternoon, I'm sure. Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. Blake, lastly, to wrap us up, thank you for that too. Firewalk selling Concord to Sony. Speech check, difficulty 100. It apparently wasn't even that hard.
No.
Apparently they saw it. We're like, a live service game? You use the word
What, you have
innovative?
Star Child?
Yeah, you have a trash can that can talk? He likes hot sauce? Take my money. I think that the people that were making that decision were so disconnected from gamers that they really thought that was exactly what the community, what the industry wanted and needed. Like, boggles the mind. But I really do think they're like, we have a move aside Grand Theft Auto 6. We have a new player in town. Like, they were that delusional. It's unbelievable. They spent more on Concord reportedly than
Do you really think, and that's the final thing, then I have to go, but do you really think that inside Rockstar they are like having a lot of meetings about there are so many roadblocks right now, or like things that you can step on, breaks like along the way, like they cannot afford that with GTA 6. So they must be like triple, double, like quadruple checking everything to make sure that there cannot be any controversy around that game.
I think, well, GTA is one of those weird exceptions though, where it might be too big to fail. Like I said, I would not be surprised at all if they do like a 5-day early access for $150 version of the game. Something that any other publisher or studio would be demolished for. And everybody's still going to buy it. Like, they could do something where they have an insensitive statement played on the in-game radio. people are going to be like, that's funny. They're going to move along with like, I think with a lot of these different projects, people are interested in being upset, and then they're looking for reasons to justify it. And so with like Veilguard, there's whole communities that have like political reasons that they want Dragon Age Veilguard to fail. And so they start looking for reasons to be upset and to justify their desire for it to flop. Same with Concord, same with all these other games like Unknown 9 and Ubisoft games like Shadows. And so I think if you happen to be on the good side, quote unquote, of those communities, there's just not going to be that much rage generated because they aren't looking for a reason to be upset. Even if they do find something to be upset about, where like I saw some people saying they wouldn't play GTA 6 because you're going to be like the protagonist is female. Like people are just going to point and laugh because the game is so big. It's okay, go shut up and sit in the corner.
I'm just curious, like that there will be like friends of mine who don't game are like, oh, there's some like even Cyberpunk felt too big to fill as well, right? So yeah, it's not out of the realm of possibility. But I just wonder if they looked at this year and were like, maybe we should just, because they can like be quiet, drop the launch trailer when it's out, and that might be the better marketing than talking more and having like that might actually cause more issues. So
yeah, to be clear, if it launches broken like Cyberpunk, there will be
Series S version.
Yeah, that will be like the nightmare to end all nightmares. But I mean, I think that they have a track record where they're not going to do it. The Series S version, I'm also very interested in though, because
what if that gets delayed? I can see a world where that happens. But good, we're speculating now. That's crazy. So thanks everyone for joining. Of course, appreciate you all. Sorry for the shorter episode, but we'll be back, of course, soon with a bigger one next week. Then we will be playing already, or is it not out? I think we will be playing it probably.
I think Dragon Age comes out on the 31st, so that's what? No, next Wednesday's the 30th.
Yeah, but we might have a...
Oh, we might have it?
Code, hopefully, already. I hope so.
Maybe. ...
And we have, like, Unexpected Nerd. I think 53 Nights said in the chat that they made, like, a review. I followed these two YouTubers before they started this podcast. They have such good chemistry. Love listening to this podcast during my running sessions. Keep up the good work. Well, that's cool to hear. Yeah. So if you have reviews, we will, shout you out.
Do you think we burn calories if they listen to it while burning calories?
That would be nice.
That would be really nice.
Yeah.
I'll call a scientist.
Let's do an
experiment. Yeah. I will stop working out for the next few weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, much love, everybody. I'll see you soon. I'll be back with a regular stream here in a little bit. I'm just going to launch the Star Citizen video. Okay. Until next time, my friends. Peace and love. Bye-bye.